Jinho Park stood on the bridge of the New Seoul, watching the massive space station grow larger through the view screen. After 3 years of traveling through deep space, Earth's first diplomatic mission was finally reaching its destination. The station called Harmony Point looked like a giant metal flower floating in the darkness, its arms stretching out into space. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said So-Min Lee, the chief science officer. She was standing next to Jin Ho, her eyes bright with excitement. "I never thought I would see something like this in my lifetime." Jin Ho nodded. As Earth's chief ambassador, he felt the weight of 50,000 lives on his shoulders. Behind them, 49 other ships carried the best people Earth had to offer. Scientists, doctors, engineers, and peacekeepers from every nation had volunteered for this historic mission. They were here to join the Galactic Council and bring humanity into a larger universe. Tae-hyun Kim, the communications officer, turned from his station. "Sir, we're getting a message from the station. They want all our ships to form a circle around the main platform. They say it's for the welcome ceremony." "A ceremony?" Jin Ho smiled. "That sounds promising. Tell all ships to follow their instructions." The human fleet moved into position as requested. Jin Ho looked around at his crew and felt proud. Mi-young Choi, their medical officer, was already preparing cultural gifts from Earth. The communications team was ready to broadcast everything back to Earth. This was going to be humanity's greatest day. But something felt wrong. "Sir," Tae-hyun called out, his voice uncertain. "I'm picking up a lot of other signals. There are hundreds of alien ships hiding behind the station, big ones." So-Min checked her scanners. "He's right. I count at least 300 warships. Why would they need so many ships for a welcome ceremony?" Before Jin Ho could answer, every screen on every human ship lit up at once. A tall, gray alien with 4 arms appeared on the display. Its eyes were cold and empty. When it spoke, its voice was like metal scraping against metal. "Greetings, creatures of Earth. I am Vextar, enforcer of the Galactic Council. You are watching a live broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Today you will witness what happens to species that grow too quickly and threaten the natural order." Jin Ho felt his blood turn cold. "Tae-hyun, open a channel. Tell them we come in peace." "I've been trying, sir. They're not listening to us." On the screen, Vextar continued speaking. "The humans reproduce like a virus. In just 200 years, they have spread across their entire star system. They build weapons of war and dream of conquest. If we allow them to join our council, they will destroy everything we have built over millions of years." "That's not true," Jin Ho shouted at the screen, even though he knew the alien couldn't hear him. Around the bridge, his crew was staring in horror. Vextar raised one of his 4 hands. "The council has decided the human species must be contained. Before they can spread their violence to other worlds, let this be a lesson to all species who would follow their path." The alien warships came out from behind the station like a swarm of angry insects. They surrounded the human fleet completely. The humans had no weapons, no shields, no way to defend themselves. They had come here believing in peace and friendship. "All ships, emergency evasive action," Jin Ho ordered. But it was too late. The first energy beams hit the outer ships. Jin Ho watched in horror as the Busan Dream exploded in a ball of fire. 3,000 people died in an instant. Then the Tokyo Hope was torn apart by alien weapons. Then the New York Star. "They're targeting our engines first," So-Min said, her voice shaking. "They want us to watch. They want us to suffer." The massacre continued for 20 minutes. The aliens took their time, destroying each human ship slowly and carefully. They made sure the galaxy could see everything. Children, parents, grandparents, all floating in space as their ships were torn apart. Mi-young was crying at her station. The medical ships. They destroyed the medical ships first. They're monsters. Tae-hyun was frantically working at his console. "I'm recording everything. If any of us survive this, Earth needs to know what really happened here. Only a few human ships were left now." The New Seoul was one of them. Jin Ho looked around at his crew, these brave people who had trusted him to lead them to a better future. Instead, he had led them to their deaths. "Sir," Tae-hyun said quietly. I'm getting a message from Earth. President Yoon wants to speak. With you. Jin-ho took the communication device with shaking hands. On the small screen, he could see President Hae-jin Yoon in her office back on Earth. Behind her, other world leaders had gathered to watch humanity's first contact with aliens. Jin-ho, the president said, her voice breaking. We're watching the broadcast. The whole world is watching. I'm sorry, Madam President, we believed they wanted peace. We were wrong. President Yoon's face was hard as stone, but Jin-ho could see tears in her eyes. This is not your fault. You are heroes, all of you. The world will remember. The new Soul shook as enemy weapons hit their hull. Sparks flew from the control panels. The lights went out and came back on. Madam President, Jin-ho said, tell our families we were thinking of them at the end. Tell them we were proud to represent Earth. I will, she promised. And Jin-ho, Earth will remember what they did to you. Earth will remember. The transmission ended just as the final energy beam hit the new Soul. Jin-ho felt the ship breaking apart around him. Through the view screen, he could see escape pods from other ships trying to flee. Some of the aliens were hunting them down, but a few were getting away. As the bridge filled with fire and smoke, Jin-ho's last thought was of Earth. Somewhere far away, his homeworld was watching their children die. He hoped that someday, somehow, there would be justice for the 50,000 souls who had come here believing in peace. On the broadcast, Vextar smiled his cold smile. Let this be a warning to all species. The Galactic Council maintains order. We decide who lives and who dies. We decide who deserves to reach for the stars. But the Enforcer had made a mistake. A few escape pods had made it away from the slaughter. They carried recordings of everything that had happened. They carried the truth back to a small blue world that had just learned a terrible lesson about the universe. Earth was no longer alone. But Earth was no longer innocent either. 3 months had passed since the massacre at Harmony Point. The whole world had watched as 50,000 of Earth's best and brightest were murdered in cold blood. The rescue ships had returned with only 200 survivors, their faces hollow, with grief and horror. President Hae-jin Yoon stood before the United Nations Assembly. But this time she wasn't alone. Behind her sat the leaders of every nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, there were no wars on their home planet. Every conflict had stopped the moment they saw their children dying in space. The mourning period is over, President Yoon announced to the packed assembly hall. Today, we begin a new chapter in human history. We tried peace. We offered friendship. They answered with genocide. In the audience, General Dong-wook Han listened carefully. He had been chosen to lead something called the Iron Protocol, a military plan unlike anything Earth had ever attempted. Next to him sat Dr. Yoon Ji-song, whose sister had died on the science vessel Seoul University. Her eyes burned with cold fury. They wanted to show the galaxy what happens to upstart species, the president continued. Instead, they have awakened something they cannot understand. They have forgotten that humans are the children of a world that has known nothing but war for thousands of years. They have forgotten that we are survivors. The president pressed. A button and holographic displays appeared throughout the hall. They showed construction projects happening all over Earth and its colonies. Space elevators that used to carry peaceful goods were now building weapons. The moon, once a research station, was being turned into a massive military base. General Han stood up when his name was called. He was a big man with scars on his face from the last war on Earth. That war seemed like a child's game compared to what they were planning now. The Iron Protocol is simple, General Han explained to the assembly. We assume that every alien species in the galaxy sees us as enemies. We assume that they all have better technology than we do. We assume that they will try to destroy us, completely. Dr. Song nodded. She had been working day and night on new weapons based on the alien technology they had recovered from the battle. Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are stronger than ours. But they have one weakness. They don't expect us to be willing to die for our cause. The general pulled up more displays showing human soldiers training in zero gravity. These weren't the peacekeepers who had died at Harmony Point. These were fighters trained to board enemy ships and fight in close combat, where human strength and determination would matter more than alien technology. Captain Wu Jinbei was one of those fighters. He had lost his wife on the diplomatic mission, and now he spent every day training other pilots for combat. His squadron was called the Widowmakers, and they specialized in flying ships that other species would consider too dangerous. "We've studied the aliens who killed our people," Captain Bay reported to the assembly. "They've been in charge of the galaxy for so long that they've gotten soft. They fight wars with rules and ceremonies. They don't understand what real war looks like." Admiral Subin Kang had been a merchant ship captain before the massacre. Now she was in charge of building Earth's war fleet. "We're not trying to build ships that are better than theirs," she explained. "We're building ships that can ram theirs and keep fighting. We're building ships that can be repaired with spare parts and human sweat." The president looked out at the assembly. Representatives from every nation were nodding in agreement. The massacre had done something the Alien Council never expected. It had united humanity completely. "We have advantages they don't understand," the president said. "We can live on worlds they consider uninhabitable. We can eat foods that would poison them. We can survive injuries that would kill them, and most importantly, we can hate in ways they have forgotten." Dr. Song stood up again. "I've been studying their broadcasts. The Galactic Council has been in power for millions of years. They see war as a formal process with rules and limits. They've never fought against a species that doesn't follow their rules." She activated another display showing human colonies throughout the solar system. Every mining station is now a weapons factory. Every research lab is now developing new ways to kill aliens. Every human settlement is now a fortress. General Han smiled grimly. "The aliens think they're superior because they have better technology. They don't understand that humans have been fighting wars since we lived in caves. We've been killing each other with rocks and sticks for thousands of years. Give us their technology, and we'll show them what real warfare looks like." The training programs were already showing results. Human soldiers could fight in environments that would kill most alien species. They could survive on rations that aliens couldn't eat. They could march for days without rest and still fight at the end. Captain Bay had been leading reconnaissance missions to the edge of human space. His ships looked like civilian vessels, but they were actually gathering intelligence on alien movements. "We've identified their patrol routes," he reported. "They're not expecting us to fight back. Their border guards are lazy and overconfident. They think humans are too primitive to be a real threat." Admiral Kang had been working with engineers to design a new type of warship. It wasn't elegant like alien vessels. It was ugly, brutal, and designed for one purpose: killing enemies. "The Reaper-class ships are ready for testing," she announced. "They're not fast and they're not pretty, but they can take massive damage and keep fighting. And when they ram an enemy ship, both ships die." The president stood up for her final announcement. 3 months ago, 50,000 humans died because we believed in peace. Today we begin our answer to that massacre. We're not going to hide behind our sun and hope they leave us alone. We're not going to beg for mercy from species that have none. The assembly hall was completely quiet as she continued. "We're going to find every alien who participated in that massacre. We're going to find their homeworlds. We're going to find their families. And we're going to teach them the same lesson they tried to teach us." She pressed another button, and a new image appeared. It was a star map showing the locations of alien colonies in the outer rim of the galaxy. "These are our first targets, small worlds far from their main fleets. We're going to hit them hard and fast and then disappear before they can respond. We're going to show the galaxy that humans don't forgive and humans don't forget." Han stood up one more time. "The Iron Protocol has one simple rule. For every human who died at Harmony Point, an alien world will burn. 50,000 deaths, 50 worlds will pay the price." The president nodded. "They wanted to broadcast our destruction to show the galaxy what happens to upstart species. Now we'll broadcast their destruction to show the galaxy what happens when you murder human children." As the assembly ended, humans across the solar system were already preparing for war. The factories were running day and night. The training camps were full of volunteers. The shipyards were building vessels designed for one purpose: revenge. Earth had tried peace. Earth had offered friendship. Now Earth was going to war, and this time, Earth was going to win. Colonel Min Ho Jong checked his watch one more time. In exactly 30 seconds, Operation Fury would begin. Around him, the transport ship Iron Fist was filled with the best soldiers Earth had ever trained. They had been traveling for 2 months, through deep space using routes that alien sensors couldn't detect. 10 seconds, announced Lieutenant Yoo-Jin Park from her position at the tactical console. She was young, barely 25, but she had proven herself to be a brilliant strategist during the training exercises. The ship shuddered as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the view screen, Colonel Jong could see their target. New Garden, an alien farming world that supplied food to a dozen council systems. The planet looked peaceful and green, with small cities scattered across its surface. Perfect, muttered Chief Petty Officer Sung Ho Lim, checking his demolition equipment one more time. They won't even see us coming. 3 other human fleets had arrived at similar targets at exactly the same moment. The attacks were coordinated to happen simultaneously, so the aliens wouldn't have time to warn each other or call for help. Remember the mission, Colonel Jong announced to his troops over the communication system. We're not here to occupy these worlds. We're here to send a message. Make it clear that attacking Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made. The plan was simple but effective. The alien colonies in the Outer Rim were defended by small patrol ships and local militias. They had never faced a real military attack because the Galactic Council had maintained peace for thousands of years. They were completely unprepared for human warfare. Launching assault pods now, reported Lieutenant Park. All squads report, ready for combat. The human soldiers dropped toward the planet's surface in armored pods that looked like meteors. The aliens' defense systems tried to shoot them down, but human engineering had made the pods nearly indestructible. They crashed into the ground like hammers and soldiers poured out immediately. Colonel Jong landed near the planet's main spaceport with his command squad. The aliens working there looked like tall, thin lizards with purple skin. They had been loading cargo ships with grain when the humans arrived. Secure the area, Jong ordered. His soldiers moved with precision, surrounding the aliens before they could escape or call for help. One of the aliens, apparently a supervisor, stepped forward with his hands raised. Please, he said in broken human language, we are civilians. We have done nothing wrong. Colonel Jong looked at the alien coldly. Neither had the 50,000 humans your council murdered 3 months ago. The alien's face showed confusion. 50,000? I don't understand. We received no reports of any conflict with your species. Of course you didn't, said Lieutenant Park. Your leaders didn't want you to know they were committing genocide. The humans had brought portable broadcasting equipment with them. Within minutes, they had taken over the planet's communication systems and were transmitting to the entire galaxy. The message was simple and clear. I am Colonel Min Ho Jong of the Earth Defense Force, he announced, standing in front of the captured spaceport. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council murdered 50,000 peaceful humans in cold blood. They broadcast this massacre to show the galaxy what happens to upstart species. Behind him, human soldiers were systematically destroying the spaceport's facilities. They weren't killing civilians, but they were making sure the planet could no longer function as a supply base for the Council. Today we begin our response, the Colonel continued. This world has fallen in memory of the 50,000. 49 more will follow. Chief Petty Officer Lim had been busy placing explosive charges throughout the spaceport's fuel storage area. When they detonated, the explosions could be seen from space. The message was clear. Humans could strike anywhere they wanted. On the planet's surface, Dr. Haewon Go was treating wounded humans from the assault. She was a skilled field medic, but she refused to help any of the alien wounded. When one of her soldiers asked why, her answer was cold. They watched while our people were murdered, she said. They did nothing to stop it. Let them take care of their own. Similar attacks were happening on 2 other worlds at the same time. Human forces appeared without warning, struck hard at military and industrial targets, then disappeared before enemy reinforcements could arrive. The psychological effect was immediate. Within hours, news of the attacks was spreading throughout alien space. The Council had told everyone that humans were primitive and weak. Now those same humans were striking deep into Council territory. Sir, Lieutenant Park reported. We're getting communications from the other assault teams. All targets have been secured, no human casualties. Colonel Jong nodded. The first part of the operation was complete, but the most important part was still to come. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Human soldiers began setting up something that no one expected: memorial gardens. In the center of each captured spaceport, they planted flowers from Earth and erected stone monuments listing the names of every human who had died at Harmony Point. "This is for Jin-Ho Park, Ambassador," one soldier read aloud as he carved names into stone. "This is for So-Min Lee, scientist. This is for Mi-Young Choi, doctor." The aliens watched in confusion as their conquerors built gardens instead of fortresses. They didn't understand that humans were doing something much more powerful than occupation. They were creating symbols that would last forever. Each monument lists the names of the dead, Colonel Jong explained in his final broadcast. When your children ask why humans came to your world, show them these names. Show them what their government did to innocent people. The human forces began withdrawing as quickly as they had arrived. They took nothing from the planets except the satisfaction of justice begun. They left behind the memorial gardens and a message that would echo throughout the galaxy. As the Iron Fist departed from New Garden, Colonel Jong received a message from Earth. It was from General Han, coordinator of the Iron Protocol. "Excellent work, Colonel. How do you assess the enemy response?" Jong looked at the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements. "They're confused and angry, sir. They expected us to occupy the worlds or steal resources. They don't understand that we're fighting for something they can't comprehend." "Good," General Han replied. "Let them stay confused. The next phase will be even more surprising." Lieutenant Park was monitoring alien communications. "Sir, I'm picking up emergency broadcasts from the Council capital. They're calling the attacks an act of barbarism." "Barbarism?" Chief Petty Officer Lim laughed harshly. "They murder 50,000 civilians on live broadcast and we're the barbarians?" Colonel Jong activated the ship's communication system. "One more time. This is Colonel Min-Ho Jong to all Council forces. You called us barbarians for responding to your massacre of innocents. You want to see real barbarism? Keep testing us. Keep pushing us. Every human child you killed is watching from beyond, and they demand justice." The broadcast ended, and the human fleet disappeared into deep space. Behind them, 3 alien worlds struggled to understand what had happened. Their military bases were destroyed, their spaceports were in ruins, but their civilians were alive and unharmed. In the memorial gardens, earth flowers bloomed under alien suns and stone monuments bore the names of the dead. The message was clear to anyone who could read it. Earth remembers its fallen, and Earth always collects its debts. The first strike was over, but it was only the beginning. 47 worlds remained on the target list, and human forces were already moving toward their next objectives. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were very good at 2 things: remembering their dead and avenging them. Fleet Admiral Ji Woo-nam stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Vengeance, watching alien warships approach through the darkness of space. Intelligence reports had warned that the Galactic Council was finally responding to human attacks with a massive counteroffensive. "Contact in 30 minutes, reported her tactical officer. "I count 300 alien vessels, including their flagship Eternal Dominion." Admiral Nam smiled coldly. Before the massacre at Harmony Point, she had been captain of a merchant vessel, carrying peaceful cargo between Earth colonies. Now she commanded the largest military fleet in human history. "They think they're hunting scattered human raiders," she said to her command staff. "They don't realize they're flying into a trap." The Council forces were approaching what they believed was a lightly defended human mining colony called New Pittsburgh. Their intelligence told them it was an easy target, protected by only a few patrol ships. They were completely wrong. Major Kyung-Min Yu was already in position aboard his assault ship Stormbreaker, hidden in the shadow of an asteroid, along with 50 other boarding vessels. His special forces teams had trained for months in zero-gravity combat, specializing in capturing enemy ships intact. "All boarding teams report ready," Major Yu announced over the tactical network. "Remember, we want their ships and their technology. Take prisoners when possible. But don't risk your lives for aliens who wouldn't do the same for you. Engineer Bora Shin was monitoring the trap from her position on the converted mining station. What looked like a simple industrial facility was actually a sophisticated weapons platform, disguised to appear harmless on alien sensors. Stealth generators are working perfectly, she reported to Admiral Nam. They can't see our real defenses until it's too late. The alien fleet was led by Council Admiral Kethmore, a proud member of the hegemony species who had never lost a battle in his 300-year career. He was confident that primitive humans would surrender as soon as they saw his overwhelming force. Open communications with the human colony, Admiral Kethmore ordered from his flagship. I want them to see our power before they die. The communication screen activated, showing Admiral Nam on her bridge. She was wearing a simple Earth Defense Force uniform, but her eyes burned with determination. I am Admiral Kethmore of the Galactic Council, the alien announced. You have attacked peaceful Council worlds and murdered innocent civilians. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Admiral Nam laughed, a sound that chilled the alien commander. Innocent civilians, like the 50,000 humans your Council murdered at Harmony Point? There are no innocent aliens, Admiral. Not anymore. Before Kethmore could respond, the trap was sprung. Hidden weapons platforms throughout the asteroid field opened fire simultaneously. The aliens had expected light resistance from mining lasers and patrol ships. Instead, they faced military-grade weapons that human engineers had reverse-engineered from captured Council technology. All ships return fire, Admiral Kethmore ordered. But his fleet was already in chaos. Human weapons weren't as elegant as alien technology, but they were devastatingly effective. The real surprise came when Major Yu's boarding ships emerged from hiding. While the alien fleet was focused on the weapons platforms, human assault teams launched toward the largest enemy vessels. Boarding Team Alpha, you have the flagship, Major Yu commanded as his ship approached the Eternal Dominion. Remember, Admiral Kethmore is worth more alive than dead. The aliens had never faced boarding actions before. In their civilized wars, ships fought at long range with energy weapons and missiles. The idea of soldiers fighting hand-to-hand inside spacecraft was barbaric to them. It was also highly effective. Sergeant First Class Jae-sung O led his squad through the alien ship's corridors, moving with the precision of months of training. The ship's artificial gravity was designed for the tall, thin hegemony species, but humans adapted quickly. Deck 3 secured, Sergeant O reported. These aliens can't fight worth anything in close quarters. They panic when we get near them. The psychological advantage was enormous. Alien species had evolved on peaceful worlds under the Council's protection. Humans had evolved on Earth, where every continent had known war for thousands of years. Admiral Kethmore found himself trapped on his own bridge as human soldiers fought their way through his ship. He had called for reinforcements, but his fleet was being systematically destroyed by Admiral Nam's forces. This is impossible, he muttered, watching his tactical displays show one defeat after another. Humans are supposed to be primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Major Yu kicked down the bridge doors and entered with his assault team. The alien admiral was surrounded by his officers, all of them too terrified to fight. Admiral Kethmore, Major Yu said politely, you're under arrest for crimes against humanity. The alien straightened up, trying to maintain his dignity. I am a council admiral. I demand to be treated according to the laws of civilized warfare. Civilized? Sergeant O stepped forward, his weapon trained on the alien. Were you civilized when you murdered 50,000 peaceful humans? Were you civilized when you broadcast their deaths for entertainment? Engineer Shin's voice came over the communication system. Major, I need the Admiral alive. His flagship has the most advanced Council technology we've ever captured. With his access codes, we can learn everything about their weapons and defenses. Over the next several hours, human forces captured or destroyed the entire alien fleet. Admiral Nam's trap had worked perfectly. The Council's attempt at a decisive victory had become their greatest defeat. Broadcast this to the entire galaxy, Admiral Nam ordered as her forces secured the last alien ship. The Galactic Council sent 300 ships to destroy one human colony. We captured or destroyed all of them. Their flagship is now under human control. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Throughout Council space, species that had never questioned the government's power suddenly began to wonder if humans were as weak as they had been told. Admiral Keithmore found himself in a human detention cell, facing questions from Major Yu and Engineer Shin. The proud alien who had never known defeat was now learning what interrogation felt like. "Your species has ruled the galaxy for millions of years," Major Yu observed. "You've forgotten what real war looks like. You fight with rules and ceremonies. We fight to win." Engineer Shin was more interested in technical information. "Your ships are beautiful, Admiral, but they're not built for combat damage. One good hit to your power systems and they're helpless. Human ships are ugly, but they keep fighting even when they're falling apart." The captured alien technology revolutionized human military capabilities. Engineer Shin and her teams worked around the clock to understand and improve Council weapon systems. "Their energy shields are powerful but inflexible," she reported to Admiral Nam. "Our kinetic weapons can overwhelm them with concentrated fire, and their targeting systems can't track ships that fly as erratically as human pilots do." The victory at New Pittsburgh changed everything. Human forces had proven they could defeat Council fleets in direct combat. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy that the supposedly invincible Council could be beaten. Admiral Nam sent one final message to the Council capital. "This is Fleet Admiral Jiwoo Nam of the Earth Defense Force. You sent your best admiral and your finest ships to destroy us. Now Admiral Keithmore is our prisoner, and his fleet belongs to humanity." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We told you that Earth remembers its dead. We told you that we would collect our debts. This is just the beginning. Every human who died at Harmony Point is still waiting for justice, and we intend to give it to them." The broadcast ended, and Admiral Nam turned to her staff. "Set course for the next target. We have 46 worlds left to visit, and I don't intend to keep the dead waiting much longer." Throughout the galaxy, alien species watched the broadcasts and began to understand a terrible truth. The humans weren't just fighting for revenge. They were fighting for survival, and they were very, very good at it. The tide of war had turned, and it was flowing in humanity's favor. 2 years after the massacre at Harmony Point, President He Jin-yoon stood before the largest gathering of human ships in history. Outside her command vessel, thousands of warships filled space around the Council's capital world. The war was ending, but not in the way anyone had expected. "All fleet commanders, this is the President," she announced over the communication network. "In 1 hour, we will broadcast our final ultimatum to the Galactic Council. They have one choice: surrender and face justice or watch their homeworld burn." General Dong-wook Han stood beside the President, looking older than his years. The Iron Protocol had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, but victory had come at a cost. Hundreds of thousands of humans had died in the fighting, and billions of aliens had learned to fear the small blue world that refused to forgive. "Intelligence reports that Council Primarch Velthara is still alive," General Han reported. "She's barricaded in the Capitol building with the remaining government officials. They're refusing all communication." Captain Sora Bai, sister of the EO, late Captain Wu Jin Bei, commanded the memorial fleet that surrounded the planet. 50,000 ships, one for each human who had died in the massacre, hung in space like a constellation of steel and vengeance. "The memorial fleet is in position," Captain Bei reported. "Every ship carries the name of someone who died at Harmony Point. They're here to witness justice." The President activated the planetary communication system, broadcasting to every alien on the world below. Her message was simple and final. "People of the Galactic Council," she began, "2 years ago, your leaders murdered 50,000 peaceful humans and broadcast their deaths to show the galaxy what happens to upstart species. Today, you will see what happens when you underestimate humanity." On the planet's surface, millions of aliens watched their screens in terror. The human fleet above them was larger than anything in Council history. Worse, intelligence reports said that humans had captured and converted dozens of Council worlds, turning alien technology against its creators. "Your leaders told you that humans were primitive and weak," the President continued. They told you that we could never threaten your mighty civilization. They were wrong about everything except one thing. We are not like you, the broadcast. Switch to show footage from the past 2 years of warfare. Human soldiers fighting in conditions that would kill most aliens. Human ships ramming enemy vessels and continuing to fight even as they fell apart. Human commanders making decisions that alien strategists called impossible. We don't fight your civilized wars with rules and ceremonies, the president explained. We fight to win, and we fight until our enemies can never threaten us again. Your council forgot that humans are the children of a world that has known nothing but war. In the Capitol building, Council Primarch Veltura was meeting with her few remaining advisors. She was a member of the ancient Seraph species, beings who had ruled the galaxy when humans were still living in caves. How many ships do they have? She asked her military commander. Over 10,000 warships, came the terrified reply. Plus support vessels and the memorial fleet. They could destroy our entire world in minutes. Primarch Velthara closed her eyes. The Council had ruled for millions of years through superior technology and careful diplomacy. They had never faced an enemy that simply didn't care about the rules of civilized warfare. What do they want? She asked. Justice, her advisor replied. They want the leaders who ordered the massacre to face trial for war crimes. The president's broadcast continued. We could destroy your world and everyone on it. We could do to you what you tried to do to us. But we are not you. We are better than you. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 50,000 dead. Instead, we offer you a choice. Surrender the war criminals who ordered the massacre. Submit to the Treaty of Remembrance that guarantees no species will ever again face genocide, and humanity will spare your world. The ultimatum had a time limit. 1 hour. Captain Sora Bay was preparing the memorial ceremony that would follow the planet's surrender. She had lost her brother to the aliens' arrogance, but she had gained something in return. The knowledge that humanity would never again be helpless. All memorial ships, prepare for the remembrance salute, she announced to her fleet. Whether they surrender or not, the 50,000 will be honored today. The hour passed slowly. On the planet below, riots had broken out as different alien species blamed each other for bringing humanity's wrath upon them. Some demanded that the war criminals be handed over. Others wanted to fight to the end. Finally, with 5 minutes left on the ultimatum, a communication signal came from the planet's surface. This is Primarch Velthara of the Galactic Council, came the defeated voice. We accept your terms. The individuals responsible for the Harmony Point incident will be surrendered for trial. President Yoon nodded grimly. Justice delayed is not justice denied, she said. Prepare the tribunal. The war crimes trial was held on a neutral station, broadcast live to every world in the galaxy. The aliens who had ordered the massacre faced human judges and human justice. Enforcer Vextar, who had personally commanded the slaughter, stood in chains before President Yoon. The proud alien who had once declared humans a virus was now begging for his life. You murdered 50,000 innocent people, the president said to him. You broadcast their deaths to terrorize other species. You believed that superior technology made you superior beings. Vextar tried to speak, but President Yoon cut him off. You wanted to show the galaxy what happens to upstart species. Instead, you taught us what we were capable of becoming. The sentence for genocide is death. The execution was carried out in the same manner the aliens had used on humans. Exposure to the vacuum of space. It was broadcast live to every world in the galaxy, just as the original massacre had been. But the trial's most important moment came when President Yoon addressed the galaxy for the last time as a war leader. Today, justice is done for the 50,000 humans who died at Harmony Point, she announced. But this war taught us something more important than vengeance. It taught us that we are not alone in the universe, and that we must be strong enough to protect ourselves. She activated a display showing the new Treaty of Remembrance, signed by hundreds of species across the galaxy. This treaty guarantees that no species will ever again face genocide for the crime of being different. No species will be destroyed because others fear their potential. and no species will be forgotten if they are murdered by those in power. The memorial ceremony that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Sora Bay led the 50,000 memorial ships in a perfect formation around the old Harmony Point station, now converted into a monument to the dead. Each ship released a single flower into space, creating a cloud of earth blossoms that would orbit the station forever. The flowers would serve as a reminder to every species that passed this way. Humanity forgives, but humanity never forgets. The war is over, President Yoon announced as the ceremony concluded. The dead have been honored. Justice has been served. Now we must build a future worthy of their sacrifice. As the human fleets dispersed to their new bases throughout the galaxy, aliens everywhere began to understand the lesson humanity had taught them. Strength was not about having the best technology or the oldest civilization. Strength was about having the will to protect what you loved, no matter the cost. The small blue world called Earth had tried to join the galactic community in peace. When that failed, they had shown the universe what they were capable of in war. Now they would teach the galaxy what they could accomplish in the peace that followed. On every human ship, the same motto was inscribed in memory of the 50,000 who had died believing in a better future. Never again. It was a promise that humanity intended to keep, no matter how long they had to live among the stars to do it. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's capacity for war. Now it would learn to respect humanity's commitment to peace. Both lessons would last forever.